Right then. Hello, everybody. Mic check, mic check. Everything seems to be working properly. Everything is in the green. And my internet connection seems stable today. So, hi. Hello, everybody. Are we all enjoying the new update? Or have we even had a chance to have a go of the new update yet? Because it has only been out for about an hour or so. So, I hope... Oh, hello, who we got there in the chat? Someone, and Gargamel420. Hello. How you guys doing? So, I am not going to do one of my super long 4-hour streams today, as I've started a little bit later than usual, and I've got a few things to do later this evening, but, yeah, we'll go through this stream, and go through some of the new blocks. So I hope everyone has been enjoying the little preview videos that me and a few other content creators have been making. And I hope you've all been having a chance to get stuck into the new DLC and the new update. I should also mention I am running a giveaway competition for some DLC keys this week. I'll be picking some winners on Friday afternoon, so if you want to enter that competition and potentially win one of 2 DLC keys for the new DLC pack, the new Core Systems pack, please join my Discord, go to the announcements page and follow the instructions on the competition announcement. Keen have been nice enough to offer me the option of both PC and console keys, so for any console players, PlayStation or Xbox, that are watching, feel free to join in the competition as well, and I can sort you out with a console key, so it's not exclusive to PC players. Right, anyway, so new DLC, new content, new features. I've got a bunch of them. Curious why my restream page isn't showing my stream, but it seems to be live on both of my YouTube and Twitch studios, so I'll assume this is working properly. Anyway, so we've got new blocks. Where is it in the list? Core Systems. There we go. So we've got a whole bunch of new blocks. We have got some cool new rounded blocks. We've got some new doors in both small and large grid, and full and half sizes in the large grid. There's a new hydrogen engine, looks pretty cool. There is a very cool new set of control stations, one with a display screen and one without. We've got a new jump drive, which I haven't actually had a chance to look at because I don't really use jump drives too often. Oh, hey Iger, how are you doing, man? And we've also got new hydrogen thrusters that look very cool. I'm a big fan of these look sweet. And we've got a really cool looking new landing gear that's a slightly different size and configuration to some of the other ones, and it's quite cool. And there are some new troffer lights. They are unfortunately only large grid at the moment. Hopefully we will get a small grid variant at the moment. But they make pretty cool runway lights. And I'm quite a big fan of them. So, for my preview video, that I left a spelling mistake in on the title screen, because I'm an idiot, and didn't notice, I built a new mech, and a docking station to go with it. I've still got to make a few more tweaks to it, but I'm going to publish both this docking station and this new mech at some point this week when I get it all finished. Hello there. I can't see those names, I haven't got my glasses on. Jet the Master Chef. Hello, how are you doing, mate? Right. My restream seems to be catching up. It just seems to be about 10 minutes behind. Okay, whatever. Right, so new mech, new blocks, new stuff. So these are the new full block trofolites stashed in the floor. Let me find my lighting blocks. Trofolites. Let's get that colour. There we go. So we've got a full block variant of them, and we've got a half block version as well. They are quite cool looking. They work the same way as all the others. You can set the colours, you can set the flashing delays and all of that kind of jazz with them. They are quite cool. What else have we got down here at ground level? We have all... Ooh. That's a weird noise going on there. It's vibrating at high speed. So, we've got these cool new landing gear. They come in large and small grid as well. There we are. Landing gear Type 2. It's quite a cool design. So that's the large grid version. And then we've got small grid version. Quite cool. I like them. They're only 2 blocks wide. They've got a connection point on the back and on the top and on the sides. They look quite cool, like interesting little feet designs. They also make really cool docking clamps. And other blocks we've got with this update, we've got the new rounded block. There's a whole bunch of them. They are in a separate group from the round blocks, so they're technically different. So in small grid, we've got these rounded edge ones. We've got a bunch of, we've got some 2x1 tips, we've got some half slopes, we've got some inverted corners, we've got some tiny little corners, we've got round corners, half blocks, more corner pieces for connecting stuff up, more half ones, rounded half ones, and we're back to the beginning again. And I think the one thing I'm disappointed with, I think Keen missed a trick here, is making a semi-circle piece. Like 2 of these joined together. That would have been cool, so that we have something to cap off these cylindrical blocks. I'd love something like a half sphere block that would sit nicely on the top of that. But anyway, we'll carry on with some of the stuff. What else have we got? We've also got new hydrogen thrusters that look pretty sweet. I've mounted a whole bunch of these on the back of this mech in order to make it fly. Give me a second, there we go. So we've got sci-fi hydrogen thrusters. And we've got the usual big ones and small ones in both large and small grid sizes. I think they look quite cool. They've got a nice square base to them, and they fit quite nicely in a lot of builds. They've even got a little bit of extra detail on them and some serial numbers and bits. Yeah, they're quite cool. I'm liking them. And then if we go up here, what else have we got? We have got new doors. So that is the new centered door in small grid. They also come with, where are they? Can we just go for the small grid version, please? Thank you. There we go. Right. So they come in 2 variants. We've got one with a nice solid door and one with a nice swish glass door that you can see through. So that'd probably be quite nice for like medical rooms, gardens, greenhouses and things like that. I've equipped some of them down here on the side of this docking station just to show them off. I really like them, and I'm quite happy we've got a small grid variant of them, because Small grid tends to not get as much love, in my opinion. It tends to get missed out on a few things. And these doors are cool, but the bases of them, because the way the door frame is shaped, can be a bit of a pain sometimes when you're trying to fit that into small grid builds. And with the side-mounted one, again, it's off-center, so it's always been a bit of a pain. Whereas these are nicely designed on all sides, so they fit in quite well with small grid builds. So, I also built this docking station nonsense for this Mac. Ooh, game spike. That's all good. So yeah, I was messing around with this docking station. And it's pretty well automated at the moment. Oh, actually, that's also one other thing I should mention. Yeah, build vision doesn't seem to work at the moment with this new update. Maybe the mod needs updating. It was mentioned in the live stream that the mechanical blocks have had a slight upgrade in their strengths. Well, the components that they require, making them a little bit more useful and a little bit stronger in combat. So I did grab the details earlier of what the old setup was with them. So let's see. Yeah. So yeah, the old small grid rotors. The small grid one. That's the small grid one. Yes, so the old small grid rotors just be one computer, one motor, one steel tube, 5 construction components, 5 steel plates. You can see now that was obviously increased, not massively, but enough to make a decent distance. It's now got a whole bunch more steel plate in it. And it's even got an extra bit of steel plate at the top, past the functional line. And that should help make them a little bit more resilient. Obviously, more components added to it adds a little bit more weight to those blocks, but I think they are better off being slightly heavier and a little bit more resilient. So I'm quite happy with that change. And that also applies to the pistons and the hinges as well. Everything's had a little bit of an upgrade and a little bit of an improvement. So, right, let's show off this mech, because this has got one of the new blocks in it as well. It has the new, or one of the new, control stations. Or I think rather this one's called the control station, and the one without the little display screen on it is referred to as the control seat. Let me just find them on here. So we've got... There we go, suspended stuff. So we have the suspended control seat that is minus a display screen, and then we have a suspended control station that has the extra little screen at the top. Personally, I prefer that one. I like having that little bonus screen to look at. Alright, so let's jump into this guy. Let's get a decent position. Ooh, bloody subgrid camera getting in the way. You know what? Let's just do it in spectator mode. A little bit easier. Cool, so I have been working on this new mech for a week or two, on and off. Still needs a few little improvements. He is probably one of the more advanced mechs I have made in recent times. So, if I hit number 8 and send a signal to the docking station, all of that will fold away, the bridge folds away, the arm folds away, the 2 docking clamps on the side fold away, and I can turn on my walk mode, which is controlled by these holographic displays in here, so that is my warp control mode. Turn that back on again. Go back into there. And then I can just hit forward on my controls, and I can move out the way. And then once I'm clear of the docking bay, all of that folds up and retracts back into a position where I can walk back into it again. So this mech is using a whole bunch of vanilla controls. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on in this one. And it is all lots and lots and lots of event controllers and timers all triggering stuff and interacting with each other. So I've got my usual control thruster set up. So I've got a whole bunch of control thrusters. For the controls, I'm using the ion thrusters that are dotted around this mech. And each of them is tied to an event controller. So that is controlled by the thruster. When the forward thruster fires, it then activates a couple of timers. Then we've got walk forward on and off, walk forward on, does a whole bunch of stuff, turns off stuff that it doesn't need, and activates the walk cycle, which is my usual walk cycle setup of a bunch of event controllers looking at a rotor, and as the rotor spins round, it triggers some lights, and then those lights trigger the walk animations for the legs. Where are we? Walk forward. Yeah, so when one of those lights turns on, it will then activate all the rotors and hinges in the legs of the mech and make it move. And there's a light for either side, which we can see flashing away in here as we're walking, as that rotor there in front of me spins. The event controllers it's tied to trigger those lights, and each of those lights activates the left and right leg animation. Reconnection successful? Yep, you sorting your life out, internet? Hello, Blue Doom. Yeah, I'm always playing Armored Core with this game, basically. Why is my internet connection misbehaving again? Come on, settle down. Alright, give me a second. Internet is misbehaving. Yeah, man. Sort your life out. Right. You okay again? Yeah, alright. It seems to be back to normal-ish. Hopefully. What's those messages? Someone, when I saw the new landing gear, immediately thought of you using them as toes on small grid, only for the looks though. Yeah, I have considered doing that. The biggest problem with doing that kind of thing at the moment with yeah, sorry, my internet connection went a bit funny for a second there, Jet. Seems to be back now. But yeah, my biggest issue with using landing gear and things for feet is things like that are so delicate in SE1. They have a habit of getting smashed to pieces if your mech is too big, too heavy, moves too quickly. That shouldn't be an issue with SE2, seeing as we have this new 20 meter a second damage limiter. But I might end up using those new landing gear on smaller builds that aren't quite so heavy or have so much power behind their feet. This dude, if he was walking on just blocks, he'd smash his feet to pieces in seconds, because he's quite heavy now with all of the components in him. But yeah, as I was saying, this guy is probably technologically one of the more advanced mechs that I've made. Because he has an updated and more advanced version of the AI balance control system that I've been working on for the last maybe year or so, however long it's been since the AI blocks came out. So he's got a rotor that is set to shear inertia tensor, and on that rotor is an AI move block and an AI recorder block that are both looking at this beacon with a whole bunch of gyroscopes on it. And that allows that section of the mech to maintain balance. Yes, he does have quite a few gyroscopes inside him. All of these ones in green are the ones that I use to turn and control the mech with. All of these ones in blue, they don't actually necessarily need to be in blue, because the AI blocks ignore gyro overrides. I just set them to blue so I can distinguish them from the other ones. They are all being controlled by the AI blocks, and they keep the whole thing balanced. And then down here, in the lower section of the torso, there is a completely separate version of the same system. So that allows the two halves of the mech to maintain balance at the same time. So if I try and physically tip my mech over, he will correct himself. Obviously, you have to balance the amount of gyroscopes that you use compared to the weight of your mech, but he does a pretty good job of not falling over. And it also allows me to make a torso twist system in the middle. So if I hit my left key, I have set up a separate walk control for the left button. There is one for the forward button. There you go. You can see he's tipping back a little bit there as the game mechanics kick in, but he always corrects himself. And there's also a right hand one, so we can walk sideways whilst shooting at stuff. And I've also set it up so that we can walk diagonally between the two. Obviously with SE1 there is a bit of a latency with gyroscopes. It's always been a bit of an issue in SE1. There's a slight delay in the amount of force gyroscopes apply to things to try and correct themselves. So you'll often get a little bit of lurching forwards or backwards, and then all of a sudden all the balance control kicks in. It lurches back forward again. But yeah, you can also walk diagonally, left and right as well. And I've set it up the same way with his reverse controls, so it's not quite the perfect kind of control system that you'd find in Armored Core or Mech Warriors or something like that, but it's about as close as I can get to it at the moment. Oh, what's that? Build an automatic PID system for dynamic balancing. Pretty much. So, I can actually demonstrate how it actually works. So I turn on the AI functions, I go to my AI balance control setup. So I've got a move block and a recorder block in both the top and bottom halves of the mech. And you can see there, those control units are cycling through to different waypoints. So if I turn that on HUD, there we go, we can see the waypoints that they are trying to aim at. So the way I set this up initially is I build a beacon a couple of blocks out from the back of the mech, record a relative waypoint or two into it. So if I go to that, you can see I've got 2 waypoints recorded in the same place in either controller, which means it's constantly trying to cycle through a couple of locations. And then once I've recorded that, I will then delete the beacon, then move it in closer so that it sets that waypoint slightly forward of the AI blocks, because if that waypoint is sitting directly on the AI blocks, the AI blocks assume they've reached their location and stop trying. However, if you set it a couple of blocks in front, it will always be trying to reach that location. And ultimately what that means is if you set the AI flight blocks to align with planetary gravity, those AI blocks will always try and stay aligned with gravity, and it basically keeps your mech stable. And if he does tip over, he'll correct himself again. Oh, what's that, Blue Doom? As an aspiring robotics engineer, you want to talk shop so badly? Well, as Iger has just said in the comment below yours, join my Discord group. Or if you are more of a script-based person rather than a vanilla-based person, go and join the Mech Engineers Discord group. They're a bunch of cool guys that do all of the scripted kind of stuff. I tend to do mostly vanilla and lightly modded. Oh yes, you did join, didn't you? Yes. Well, yeah, if you've got any questions, man, just drop some questions in the help section on my Discord server, and when I get a chance, I'll try and answer it to the best of my ability. Right, so other features of this mech. Oh yeah, so yeah, as I was saying, you can see as the bottom half of that torso turns, you can see that AI waypoint move, and that makes the bottom half of the mech always try and align itself with that waypoint. So yeah, other features, what else have we been doing? It's got an auto walk feature if you don't feel like holding the forward button the entire time. You can just turn that on there, so we've got auto walk on. If I turn the walk mode off, it then deactivates all of that and goes back to default position. And it also turns off the control gyros so that you can't accidentally mess around and tip yourself over. And what else have I been working on? I've also been working on a... what's that? Blue Doom. Mostly you'd love to see what kind of design parallels you can take from Gate Systems and SE and apply them to your own work with real-life robots. I'm sure there's lots that you could do. Oh, hello, Danelle VTuber over on Twitch. Yes, I can see your comments. How are you doing? I'm good. Right, so I've also been working on a Armored Core style skimmer kind of skating system so that we can skate around on the floor. It's all powered by the thrusters on the back of the mech at the moment. I'm still kind of working on it. It's only got basic forward, backward, left and right controls at the moment. I've not set it up properly with diagonal directions and stuff. And there's a few other things I need to tweak with it, but because of the balance system in it, it will always keep the mech stable, even if I try desperately to try and tip him over. And he can reach quite silly speeds if you're not careful. Yeah, the skating system is still a bit of a work in progress. Trying to work out conflicts between different commands, because Again, all of this movement with these thrusters is controlled by event controllers triggering timers that are themselves triggered by the ion thrusters. Yeah, I need to try and work out some way of braking nicely. What's that? Dunel VTuber. How's the stream so far? It's okay. I had a slight wobble with my internet connection at one point, but I do occasionally play other games besides Space Engineers. Generally, things that either have a space theme or a mech theme. I occasionally play MechWarriors 5, occasionally play Subnautica and other things like that. I've got a few other streams on my... what's that, Blue Doom? This is so clean and you love it. Well, like I said, I will be publishing this at some point this week when I get it all boxed off. So that is the escape mode. Turn that off. Then we can go back to walk mode again if we feel like it. And it's got 2 large hydrogen tanks on it and a couple of little bonus ones on the inside of the chassis, so that we can activate the jetpack. So it can just about fly in a... On lands it's not too bad, if it's a little bit sluggish because of the weight of it. But it doesn't do too badly. And I was testing out the other day on this Martian base, and it can just about make it up to space from here. And it's got forwards, backwards, left and right directional control at the moment, which I'm still working on. I should probably fit it with some parachutes at some point, it'd probably be a good idea. I'll let that come down slowly, hopefully don't hit the ground too hard. We'll try and land as nicely as we can do. And then I will take it back into the docking station. And I'll show you how the docking station works when it docks back up. Yeah, some parachutes would probably be a good idea to equip to this guy, because you might end up running out of fuel mid-air, and that'd be the last thing you want, is to come crashing down and smash to pieces. What's that, Blue Doom? Is there some way to have a sensor read current, direction and velocity and then output a constant directional value to a thrust controller? Sensors can't do that. You can do something similar with event controllers. So, there we go, let's land nice and gently, there we go. And we've still got a decent amount left in the tanks. You can do something similar to maintain a precise speed with event controllers, because I've done that on a station, an orbital station I built a while back, again, which I still haven't published because I got too many ideas. So, yeah, to do something like that, you can use the grid speed changed setting. So, and set that to whatever speed you want, and then have that adjust the output of your thrusters. So you could set the percentage to 50, 75, whatever percentage you want. And you could have a top limit like that, so if it gets past, say, 90 or 80 meters a second, it would then reduce the thruster output, and then you could have a lower limit on another controller and have that be whatever you want, and if it dropped below that speed, it then increases the thrust, maintain a speed between those two. Ooh. Oh, game pause. What are you doing, game? Oh my god, I hate that. Every time I pause the game by mistake, it makes my internet signal spike. There we go, we're okay. Right, I will take him back over here. Directional aspect. Well, the directional aspect would depend entirely on the direction your thrusters are mounted to. In fact, you know, I'll take him back over here, and then I might pull up my orbital station and show you what I mean. Because you can use event controllers in all kinds of ways. So if you wanted something to fly forwards, for example, at a certain speed, I would set those event controllers to manage your forward thrusters and potentially your reverse thrusters as well. Whereas if you wanted something to fly up and down consistently, set your vertical up and down thrusters as the ones that get triggered. Event controllers are really, really, really dynamic in what you can do with them. It just takes a little bit of thinking and a little bit of logic chains to try and work out what you want everything to do. Oh, Daniel VTuber. By the way, where are you from? I'm from the north of England. I've lived here most of my life. But I've got a bit of a weird accent because I've moved around a lot, but I've mostly been in the north of England. Yep, there you go. Balance trying to kick in. There we go. Right, so this docking station. You see the lovely new tropper lights blinking away on the floor. There's a way to guide us in. I've also set up a projector that has this nice little target symbol, which is on a set of what's that equipped to? That is set up to, oh yeah, I built it up here, didn't I? So this projection, the way I've got this moving is in here we have this little device. So, similar to the way I build the walk control systems, there is a rotor that is turning one way, and when it gets to, I think it's 359 degrees, I think I set it to, one of the event controllers triggers it and turns it around the other way. And when it gets to, I think, like 1 or 2 degrees, there's another event controller that will then reverse it again. So, it's doing this little step, that little step, that little step. And at certain angles in between the start and the finish, there is a whole bunch of other event controllers that are triggering the vertical setting on the projector, moving it up and down by a few degrees each time. So each time that cycles through, left to right, it either moves the projector up or moves the projection down. And I thought that would be a nice little bit of extra visual flair to the docking station, because it also helps me align the mech. Because you kind of need to get it in the middle. It's not a perfect system yet. But yeah, once we're roughly in the middle, let's get back into spectator mode, because it looks better like that. I can then hit the relay signal on my toolbar, which sends a signal to the station itself, and then it triggers the pistons, pushing the mech in. There we go. And it grabs the whole thing. So the pistons move in. As they move in, the hinges wrap in. And when the hinges are in place, they then trigger the landing gear locking down. The landing gear locking down then triggers the platform rotor spinning. And when the platform is spun all the way around, this arm drops into position, extends out, connects up to there, and then when that connects, it triggers the bridge dropping down. And then when it gets low enough, the little ramp to get directly out of there shifts into place. And then we can exit, and we can comfortably walk out and climb back down to the bottom. Pacific Rim theme intensifies. Yeah. I will be doing more Pacific. I nearly said specific Rim then. Pacific Rim sized mechs at some point. I do really want to build another version of this guy in large grid, because I think that would be quite fun. But I don't really have the time to do that this evening. I've got a few things I need to do later on. And yeah, that is pretty much how that mech works. Then we can hit that button again. It unlocks everything in one go. We can then trigger the walk cycle again, and we can walk out. Yeah, so there you go. That is this new mech design. He's also got a bunch of weapons on him, AI controlled weapons and manual controlled weapons. We should have left in a target for him to shoot, so let me jump out here a second. Bum bum bum. Let's grab. It's not that one. Let's grab one of my older designs. Oh, that's not got the right... Have I got them? Oh, actually, I have got the right mods for that. So, there we go. Let's grab one of my older mech designs and use him as target practice. Yeah, this is one of my older designs. Walk controls on. Yeah, and this guy's only really got basic forward and backward walk control at the moment. And he's got a slightly different control system for turning, but anyway, let's make him a target. Let's control everything. Let's set it. No, not that one. Set it to space. Pirates. Oh, I forgot he had an AI defense system built into him. Yeah, let's calm him down for a second. I completely forgot about that. Let's maybe turn that defense system off before I use him as a target. Oh yeah, that. Let's turn that block off. So that's something I also need to equip to this guy, is some AI controls. Bum bum bum. Right. Do that again without blowing everything up. Oh. I was wondering what was shooting at him. Right. You two can settle down. I don't need you two causing problems at the moment. Every robot needs red LED in the eyes when it turns evil? I quite often, because the new, new-ish toolbar settings for the lights, what I usually do is with the custom turret controllers, whichever one I've mounted with the actual weapons, what I usually do is go to the Setup Actions tab, and then whatever lights are equipped to that arm or that weapon or whatever, I set them to red when they are aligned with a target. So you can see they're all default orange at the moment. If I turn on that arm, everything turns red when he's aiming at target. It turns blue when he's not. It turns red again. You see it flickering between, so you can tell when it's actually aiming at a target. And that arm is being controlled by 3 separate turret controllers. One for the hand, one for the elbow, one for the shoulder. It's gone haywire again. Can you please not do that? No, it's back to normal again. Ugh, whatever. Yeah, so, internet's back. We being cool again? Cool, right, so, I was saying, I usually set up the turret controllers for each arm. The hand and the shoulder will be equipped to just the camera so that they can aim, and the elbow will also have the gun attached to it. So I can then aim with the arm, with the elbow, and the hand and the shoulder will try and work in unison as a kind of aim assist. There we go. Let's get into a better position for demonstrating that. There we go. So, as I move the elbow around, you can see the hand and the shoulder are working together to try and keep us on target. So it kind of worked a little bit like aim assist. Oh, hey, Golden Finch, just got in. Amazing work as usual. Thank you, dude. Horse Raven, yes, it is a mech. I like building mechs in Space Engineers. It's kind of my thing. And I'm always trying to figure out new ways of doing them vanilla as possible, and with as few mods as possible. But yeah, that's how I kind of create like an aim assist sort of system using custom turret controllers, kind of all tied together in unison. So like, for example, if I went into the elbow and hit control, it's using that camera. If I go into the hand for the same arm and hit control, it is also using that camera, and that keeps all the turret controllers aiming at the same thing most of the time. I can deactivate that arm, it will return to normal. Then on the other side, I've got a great big autocannon arm. And with the way I've set the controls, oop, there we go, just wait for that. There we go, balance control kicks in eventually. Like I said, there's a bit of a lag with the way gyros and AI blocks work. Ooh, 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 ooh. Got a bit wonky there. There we go. There you go, auto-corrected himself, stuck back up again. And now, because I've set it up with controls to walk sideways around stuff, you can actually probably have slightly better fights with this style of mech. without the torso twist in the middle, a lot of mech fights tend to end up like kind of jousting with guns, because it can be awkward in Space Engineers to move three-dimensionally in something that has legs. Yeah, that's that mech. Let's turn your arms off. I also fitted him with some fixed missile launchers for blowing stuff up. I might make them turrets as well at some point, maybe, but it'd be a bit awkward to give them any articulation in the position they're in. And I also built a quote-unquote countermeasure system, just because I thought it looked cool. So it's basically fitted with lots and lots and lots of the fireworks launchers all over the mech, so you can fire them out to distract your opponents. Turn that off, and then we'll walk this back over here to the docking station. Let's get you back in there. It's not too far off. That should push us the rest of the way, so let's go back to there. Hit number 8. That should shove us into place. There we go. And then when it's all clamped down and locked down, it all starts to spin. Well, we might be leaning a little bit far forward there, but in the event that it all gets screwed up and won't dock up properly, I can just release him and try again. That should be fine. Yep, there we go. Ruby. Right, so, what's that? Julia Asgard. I use teeny drone that is set to circle the enemy with a decoy on board as real countermeasures. There's lots of different ways you can do stuff like that. I've built a few mechs that launch their own drones to keep them defended and stuff like that. So somebody was asking before about regulating speed with event controllers. Let me just fly up into space. Where are we? We're still on the planet's gravity. That should be okay. Ah, Blue Doom, it was you. Yeah, cool. Let me find my orbital station. Orbital station field work. Yeah, because I've not actually played with this for a while. It should be that one, I think. Wait for the game to catch up. Right, so let's get you the right way around. Actually, no, it might not be that one, actually. It might be. Might be that one. Field work. I'm sure I've updated it since then. I might not have blueprinted it though. Either way, either one of these will have the control system on it, so yeah, I'll just drop that in. That should be okay. Right, let's just quickly set up a few things, because with my balance control system, unfortunately, the recorder blocks they will maintain the waypoints recorded in them through blueprinting, but they won't maintain their reference beacon. So when you spawn in a grid that uses this kind of system, you have to make sure you set up the reference beacon first, and then it will align itself correctly. So we are now nice and flat. So if I pop into here and go to the control station, eventually, do you want to open that door for me? You want to try that again, please? There we go, thank you. So if I go to the middle of here, what's that, Blue Doom? Your concern was the velocity sensor seems to only read a magnitude value, not directional component, at least based off grid speed. Yes, it does only read just overall velocity. It doesn't do anything directional at the moment, as far as I'm aware. But you can use AI blocks and stuff to kind of maintain directionality and things like that. Where's the way up? There it is, ladder. Let's go up to the control station and then set the orbital mode on. I'll do it from the control seat. So, where is the control for that? Orbital mode. So, I'll turn that on. And don't work. Ah, there we go. Cool. Right, that is on. Cool. Okay. So, while that is speeding up, no, wrong button. Orbital. Do I only have the speed up on this one, or Yeah. Right, so the way I've got this set up, you can see it's accelerating gradually. When it gets to over 30 meters a second, I can set that as high as I want if I wanted it to maintain 100 meters a second constant speed. But it is currently set to 30. And the way I've got it set up at the moment is really basic. You could do this with set override controls. The way this is set up at the moment, it literally just turns the forward-facing thrusters off when it gets above 30, and then when it drops below 30 again, turns them back on. And it is the AI block on the... Is it the AI block? Oh no, it's set to... I think it's set to an override. Maybe. It's been a while since I played with this one. Orbital mode. What's that controlling? That is controlling that. Orbital mode on and off. That is doing orbital mode on and off. Where are those timers? There they are. Orbital mode on. So yeah. Oh yes, this is an older system because this was. Started playing with this before we got the set override values. So yeah, if I increase that a little bit, if you watch the bottom corner, you can see that my velocity is approaching 30 meters a second, and when it gets to 30 meters a second, it will then turn off the forward thrusters. It will let it slow down a little bit, and then once it's dropped back below 30, there we go, thrusters are off, and it'll, at the moment, this design is a basic kind of rudimentary thing, so it'll just flick those thrusters on and off to nicely maintain that kind of 30 meters a second kind of speed. I think I've since worked on a more updated version of this, I just haven't got around to blueprinting it apparently. But yeah, that will then maintain that velocity all the way around. And because it's got a balance control system like the mech, I pitch it off slightly. There you go. It will then auto-correct itself back to level. Same if I lean it up a little bit too high, it will correct itself back to level. And because that balance control is set to align with planetary gravity, this station will effectively just orbit the planet now and keep going around in a circle all the way around. And if I exit the station, it will just keep doing that. So let's get back out again. What's that? Yours? Oh, hello. Name's on that Lilu guy. I'm not sure how you pronounce that name. Over on Twitch. Hi, how are you doing? I'm just showing off some of the new update stuff and a few of the ridiculous things that I like doing with space engineers. Why are the bottom thrusters firing over and over again with the normal ions? Oh, I should probably explain that as well. So in the same way that I set up or in a similar way that I set up the speed limit control with this, there is a couple of event controllers that are set to altitude, and they are tied to the vertical thrusters. And that allows this station to maintain a certain height above the ground. We are currently a little bit too high. Oh no, there we are. So, there is our altitude. I've got two altitude controllers. Set to 15 and 500, so we're not even quite high enough for them to trigger yet. So what I will do is I will set them to 1, 2, 3, 10,000 and 10,500. And then what that will do is basically vertical thrust up. Yeah, this is a really old system. This is way before we got those options. This definitely needs updating. So this has got a system that just adjusts the thrust overrides of the vertical thrusters. So if it drops too low, oh yeah, they are turning on and off with the other thrusters, aren't they? That's not right. I think that might be some kind of visual bug, because the forward thrusters are actually turning off, but the Prototech thrusters, which are the vertical ones, they are not turning on and off, so I think that might be some weird visual bug thing with me turning those off. But yeah, the way that altitude system is set up is if it drops below whatever you set the bottom limit as, which is high, low. Ooh, they're the wrong way around. Divvy. high. Right, there we go. We're set up the right way now. So, if that dropped below 10,000, it would set the overrides on those thrusters, push it back up, and then once it gets above 10,000, it would cut out. And then, likewise, if it goes above 10,000, it will reduce the thrust output on the thrusters until it drops back below that level, and then set it back to normal again. And yeah, that will more or less maintain its altitude and its speed all the way around. Bum 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 bum. So, where's the way out? There's lots of ways out here. Yeah, basically, Jetmaster Chef, it's set to roughly maintain an X value of whatever you want that to be. I went through the wrong door. It's that door that I want. Back out to one of the docking bays. So if I pop out through this door, turn the airlock off or on, open the airlock up. There we go. Airlock open. Go. Right, turn auto dampening off. Away it goes. Yeah, and that will just happily orbit the planet now. The only issue with this setup is when you save and restart the game in single player, it can cause issues with the AI controls. You might have to double check that they are still on target, because I've done that before and found that I quit in the middle of it trying to push up to maintain altitude, and then when I've started the game, the thrusters have just been set to override and it's flown off into space. However, on a server, because servers tick over on a 24-hour basis, it actually works quite well. Can you get it more precise to within 10 meters? You probably, yeah. Absolutely could. It'd probably just cause an awful lot of flickering in the thrusters as they are trying to adjust, like trying to burn to get higher and drop out to drop down. But you absolutely could restrict those limits in a little bit further if you wanted to. Like it's the same with the speed restriction on it. You can set that anywhere between 1 meter a second and 100 meters a second. But yeah, he'll just go off and do his thing now. Let's see. Let's go back to. I'll find the right button eventually. There we go. Entity list. There we go. Let's come back. Ooh. Oh, managed to lose myself again. There we go. Let's reduce that speed on that. Drop myself back into here. Cool. There we go. Yeah, right. So we are back down here again. Cool. Is there anything really more to show off from this new update? We've covered the trough lights, we've covered all the new blocks. Oh yeah, I didn't really go over the new large grid versions of these blocks, because we've got a few extra blocks in large grid that we didn't get in small grid, which I'm kind of gutted about. These rounded edge blocks have 3 different variants. So we've got the plain one, we've got one with some paneling and details on, and then we've got another one with a different set of details on, which are quite cool. They're quite nice for bit of decorative design and a bit of greebling. It's that blue guy. Oh, right. Sorry, I get confused trying to read these names. That's blue guy. All right, cool, mate. Sorry about mispronouncing your name earlier. Yeah. You know what? Let's hop back into him, and I'll see if I can take him up to space. So I've set this docking station up so you can basically access everything without the need for a jetpack. Just might take you a minute or two to climb up the big ladder. There we go. We'll walk into him. We'll jump into the lovely new control seat. And that has the control seat itself. If I go into first person mode, open that door again. This has an event controller in it as well that's tied to that front door, so as soon as you get in the seat, you don't have to worry about closing the door behind you. It will close automatically. Let's release him from there. I was leaning quite far forward then, but that's alright. And then we'll walk out of here. He's also set up to auto refill his batteries and his hydrogen tanks when he docks up as well. So we've got a nice fresh supply of hydrogen. Turn that warp control off. Turn the flight controls on. And we can fly up to space. And you should have, on Mars, because it's got quite a low atmosphere and quite slightly lower gravity than Earth, you should be able to get up to space on Mars with about half his hydrogen fuel left. Yeah, again, with the event controllers I use to set up these controls, I like to add arm and leg movements into it as well. The thrusters, no, they are not a mod. These are the new sci-fi hydrogen thrusters that come with the new Core Systems DLC pack. They're quite cool, aren't they? But no, they're totally vanilla. You just need to get the new DLC. No mods here. Well, no block mods here. There we go. We're almost through the atmosphere. There we go, through the atmosphere. I might be able to get all the way out of the gravity well. Yes, Jet the Master Chef. The new thrusters, the new hydrogen thrusters do look really cool. Initially I built this mech without the jetpacks on them, and then I was looking at those new thrusters and went, I've got to include them somehow. Let's incorporate a few of them. Yeah, he's got some forward flight control. We've got some reverse flight control. We've got vertical. I need to set up some diagonal direction so I can have a proper forward and up at the same time. I also need to have a little tweak of some of the settings as well, but like I said, hopefully at some point this week I will have this this blueprint and the associated docking station published, so people can have a play around with it and see how it's designed. But yeah, he's also set up that when the thrusters fire, it turns off his balance control system, so you can actually pitch yourself around, and then when you let go of the thrusters, the balance control kicks in again, and he will again try and maintain balance alignment with the planet. Obviously, if you're not in a gravity well, that's not going to do anything. Oh, no worries, I'll just call you Jet then, mate. Yeah, I really like the look of these new hydrogen thrusters. They are pretty cool. We've still got... still at 0.2 gravity. Still got a way to go yet. I might have added a bit of extra weight, it might not make it out the gravity well now, but he can operate pretty well in space. He does also have a couple of the new, let me turn it towards the sun so you can see. He's also got a couple of the new, or the newish O2 H2 generators in the back of him, so stick some ice in there, you can refuel on the fly if you need to. Which I probably will need to. Yeah, like I said, you can fly up, you can fly down if you need to. There's backwards and there's forwards. Just need to make a few little adjustments to how certain parts of it move around. You can occasionally get a bit of dusting from some of the thrusters. Low on that fuel. Yeah, I've added a bit more weight than last time I tried flying into space, but realistically you probably wouldn't be flying a mech all the way from the surface of a planet all the way into space. That would be a little bit daft. You'd probably want some kind of dropship or something. Nearly out the gravity well. So, again, these the flight control system. Again, my favourite block. Loads and loads and loads of event controllers doing different things. I've set up a few others that actually need setting up properly, but I've not got around to that yet. But yeah, it's basically an event controller tied to a thruster. When that thruster fires, it triggers a set of timers. One for on, one for off. And when the on timer turns on, it deactivates all the other all the other event controllers that might conflict with it, turns off the AI balance system, and then moves all of the wing thruster systems into the right positions, same with the arms and the legs, and then activates the override on the thrusters. Because you can't directly control thrusters on a subgrid without the use of scripts generally, but you can do it with event controllers. What's that? Jet. Perfect. You got any tips or builds you can show for building VTOL craft? Yeah, probably. I've got some stuff like that. Give me a second. Let's think about it. What have I got? Yep, and we've escaped the gravity well now, so there we go. We can just slow down a bit, and we are now out in space. Yeah, VTOL stuff. Let me head back down to the planet. And let's copy and paste him back down here. You know what? Let's jump out of there and just paste him back down on the floor. Because he's going to run out of fuel and he might just crash. Right, I'm back down here. You. There we go. Now I'll leave him there for a second. So, VTOL stuff. Yeah, you can do VTOL stuff with this. Have I got any stuff like that? Have I done any VTOL? Yeah, I've got an old design here that I did a basic tutorial on a while back. It probably needs an update. And I do have a few other things knocking about that I could probably use as a demo. There we go. Oh yeah, locked to the floor. So, VTOL things with subgrids can be a bit funny sometimes with subgrids attached to a main grid. You can see it's dropping down a little bit. Can be a bit fussy sometimes. But yeah, basically I've got a similar setup. Thrusters on the bottom that are triggering these thrusters on the side. I've also got... The way these are set up is they are set up to react to the inertial dampening. So if I fly left and then stop flying left, some of the thrusters will pitch round into positions that will then slow the ship down. Same if I go forward and suddenly turn sharply left, you can see all the thrusters start to swing to the right. And that's because the thrusters on the main grid are reacting to inertial dampening and then triggering event controllers that adjust those rotors accordingly. So we can drop that down. What's that? Jet. For context, you've been spending way too much time building drop ships that end up having 30-odd thrusters on the other side that look ugly as hell. Yeah, that can be a problem when you're building, like, something quite large or quite heavy, and it needs a lot of thrust to counteract that weight. That can be a bit of a tricky situation sometimes. So you see, there we go, if I fly down, kick all them in, and let's drop that down there. Have I done that? Let's jump out of there. We're on Mars. Will that ship work on Mars, or will I have to go to Earth? So I've got a few Jigabachi designs based on the AI helicopter from Ghost in the Shell. Which one was most recent? I'm guessing it's you, Mark III. Ship contains blocks that are not available in this world. Really? Surely not. Let me spawn it anyway, because I'm not sure what that's banging on about. That shouldn't have any blocks that I don't have. Oh, it's definitely missing something inside of there. Why is that? What modded blocks did I use on the side of that at some point? Really? Let's have a look at a different version of the jigger. Jigger Bachi. What's the test version? Oh, that still says missing blocks. Missing blocks on the side of the tail. Oh, I know what they might be. Oh yeah, I know what that is. That's an old... bum, 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 bum. Is that one the same? I can give you the same brief. Yep, missing blocks. On the tail. Yeah, that must be one of the old mods I used to use all the time. Well, let's spawn it in anyway, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, missing blocks. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, actually, I know why. That's because that's a really, really old design. That's why. Where's my newer one of that? I'm sure I had a newer one of that somewhere. Maybe it's not in this world and I haven't blueprinted it. That'd be a shame. Yeah, it must be. Yeah, because it's all got that underside entrance. Oh well. Yeah, that's an old design. That one's probably not going to work. Oh yeah, Raptor TJC, does anyone notice that the thrusters on our ships during courses and updates have been flickering on and off at the same time? Yes, we all noticed that when I was showing off one of my builds before. It seems to be a visual issue rather than an actual functional issue, because I checked the thrusters that were flickering that shouldn't have been, and they were staying on. I think there's some little bug. I am sure I had a newer version of that knocking around. I've not published it yet, so... Smag. Oh well. Yeah, because they're all like 5,000. That's 1,000 blocks. That's the one I published ages ago. That's that one. That's that one. Is it this one? No, that's missing blocks too. What blocks are you missing? Oh, yeah, you're missing blocks off the back of there. Yeah, it must be that old mod that I used to use that I don't any longer. Well, I'll drop him in anyway. He should hopefully work. The game wants to catch up. Oop. Oh, yeah, right, okay, that's missing a whole bunch of... that's missing other mods that I don't have equipped here anymore. Damn. Old designs with old mods that I don't use anymore. That's annoying. Yeah, oh well. It'll be difficult to show that off because that thing's just going to fall to pieces. Do I have anything other VTOL-wise? I don't think I do. I sort of do. You know what? This is a really old design that might break as well. It's missing blocks, but it's kind of got a VTOL system to it, I think. Oh No, it hasn't. This one just has giant wings on it. All the thrusters are fixed. Show it off anyway if it feels like it wants to work. Let's climb up here. Oh, actually, didn't I build... I placed buttons on this to get it to drop down. No, I don't think I did. Yeah, well, we'll climb back up into it. So this is a really old design from when I still used to use scripts and things. Needs a good bit of an update. Oh yeah, because it has a boarding mode like that for crouching down to get closer to the floor, make it easier to get in. And it's got walk control system, but it's a bit bouncy in this lower gravity. Ooh, and a bit clangy as well. Yeah, that definitely needs an update. What else did we have on there? Flight mode. I built this thing with a bunch of great big wings just for a laugh. When it gets a certain distance above the ground, its legs and arms retract. And as it accelerates, its wings move around and do stuff. And that wing movement, again, is all just tied to grid speeds, as far as I remember. So faster it goes, more the wings fold up to look more sleek. But that's not really the VTOL thing that I was hoping to show off. And then we can float back down. There we go. They extend again when we get to a certain height above the ground. And let's turn that flight mode back off. And I'm going to get rid of that. What else has flight systems in it? Actually, did I build the mobile, this thing with a flight system in it? You've got a bunch of thrusters in it. So this is hopefully one of the better flying mechs I've built, because he is probably stuck to the ground. Let's post him a little bit above the ground. There we go. So this guy is loaded up with my modded fan thrusters that are slightly more powerful than regular ones. And he's got them all over the arms and legs. We jump into him. Where are the controls? So, walk control on. Did I have a separate thing for flight control? Ah, no, because I set him up with slightly better flight controls, which I need to incorporate into that guy over there. So he can just walk around like any other mech. Oh, that's his beacon signals. They need resetting. That's why they're pointing up there. This guy can just walk around, and he is set up that if I press the spacebar to fly up, it activates the flight mode, and all the thrusters kick in. So when he flies up, pretty much everything fires to keep him nice and balanced and stable, and he's got some extra little thrusters on pistons in the back of his legs. then he's been set up to have forward, backward, left and right flying positions, and one for down as well that just activates a couple of thrusters at the top and then turns everything else off so that you can drop down. And yeah, he's not too bad at flying about. I also equipped him with some parachutes, so you don't have to worry about him crashing. I need to do that with the other new mech. Oh, legs are doing weird stuff. Yeah, that's good. Do you want to reset back to normal, please? Thank you. There you go. There's blocks on there that shouldn't be. There's other controls that I need to tweak. Yeah, there's a few things in there that are triggering that shouldn't be. Blue Doom, hey Dread, got a dip, great catching your stream and getting to see your mech building skills. No worries, man. To be honest, I'm going to wrap this stream up in a minute because I've got some stuff I need to do this evening. And I've showcased most of what's going on with the new update and the new blocks. I'm mostly just showing off other things that I've worked on at the moment, so no worries, man. I'll catch you next time. I will be streaming again on Sunday anyway, when I do my next Apex Mechs Survival live stream. But yeah, there's lots of things you can do with the mech controllers to make stuff fly using subgrids. This all should be flight control. And yeah, again, we've basically just got a bunch of, turn on so it's easy to see, event controllers for forward, left, reverse, right and up. There should be one down somewhere hidden in there. I can't see at the moment, but whatever. And they just trigger a bunch of timers and stuff. So for forward, turns on some lights, turns on some rotors, changes their position, turns on a bunch of thrusters and all that kind of stuff. There you go. Now your legs have reset properly. Thank you. Turn them off. And then once he's landed, he can carry on walking again, doing his thing. But he's a bit of an older design. He doesn't have the new balance control system that I've been working on. He purely just relies on override gyros to stay level, so he's a little bit more prone to tipping over sometimes if you're not careful. But actually no, he's got a sensor system in him for keeping him level. Sensors. So this is the way I used to do balance control systems before the AI blocks. So he's got these 4 sensors that you can see just down here on his lower torso. They are set with, let's turn on the sensor ranges. So those sensor ranges are set up like that, and they are set to detect voxels, and I think stations as well, potentially. Yeah, large grids, stations, and voxels, so that he can walk on ships and planets and things, and if he tips too far in only one direction, one of those sensors will trigger. I can find them. And then that will trigger some timers. That, in turn, increase and decrease the pitch overrides. But we now, actually, that's something I should cover. We've got new toolbar actions, so gyroscopes being a prime example of them. We used to, as you can see from this system, I used to have increase pitch, decrease pitch, that kind of thing. We now have set power, set yaw, set pitch, so we can now specifically set things on our gyroscope. So what group is that? That's just balanced gyros, isn't it? So we can now set our yaw to 5. And presumably now press the right buttons, please. So yeah, we can now set the RPM that we'd like for each individual gyro, rather than just turning it on and off or increasing it in vague little amounts. We can now specifically get the things that we want. What other new functions have we got with those gyros? So we've got set roll, set pitch, set yaw. We can now turn override controls on or off. We used to only have the on-off dual function, which was a bit of a pain. We can set power. That's lovely. So yeah, there's loads of handy new controls with the event controllers. I'm sure there was a few other ones with a few other bits, wasn't there? Let's just find any old timer, it doesn't really matter. So, suspension blocks, I'm sure there was some... Ah yes, we've got a new set speed limit function with the suspension blocks, which is also quite handy. So if you've got some kind of auto-driving vehicle and you don't want it to just max out at its top speed, or if you want it to change speeds at various stages depending on whatever settings, you can set speed limits now to particular amounts. Fantastic. That's wonderful. Yeah, 180 is the max speed, isn't it? So yeah, you could set that up to be different velocities. Lovely. What's that, Jet? You've mainly used hinges to switch back and forth, but it gets rough trying to engage them as downward thrust, then switch back and engage them as rear thrust. My advice would be, when trying to build like VTOL systems, try and steer clear of using hinges where you can. Hinges get really fussy about any kind of lateral force, as in something trying to push sideways against the hinge. They're great for up and down, but any kind of sideways movement, they start clanging and sparking and making horrible noises. If you're trying to make VTOL ships, best bet is rotors. Especially now, since they have increased all the maximum torques for rotors and hinges and kind of made them uniform across the board. Rotors are far better for doing things like that. Which is in fact why, it's the exact reason that the legs on... Oop, that's too far. That is the exact reason the legs on this mech are almost exclusively built out of rotors, because they are far less clangy to things like weird forces and weird directions. Like I said, hinges get real upset if they start getting pushed on sideways. It's another reason I avoid trying to use hinges on their side for, like, spider mechs and things like that. It's alright at a lower mass, but once you start getting real heavy, a hinge on its side supporting weight will start getting very clangy. And just generally make horrible noises and spark as you move, and it's not really that enjoyable. Right, let's fly him back over there. This walking's going to take forever. So yeah, this guy's even got thrusters on the bottom of his feet. And if I built his legs out of hinges, he would be going clang, clang, boom, bang, horrible, horrible noise the entire time whilst flying. Yeah, hinges are good for legs and stuff. Oop, that was a bit much. Coming in too hot. Oh, there you go. Does your balance control want to kick in? Are you going to correct yourself now that you've slowed down a bit? Yep, there he goes. Right, he's corrected himself. Nice crash landing. Yeah, that noise, that clang clong kind of noise, it's the hinges stressing out because they're sideways. Again, because I've used hinges on these legs here, occasionally, if he's tipping over sideways or moving too much in a sideways direction, you'll hear the occasional clang from his knees. But when they're set up in tandem like that, where it's two hinges working together, it tends to be a little less clangy, because they're sort of spreading all that force across them. Oh yeah, I need to reset his balance control things, because I copied and pasted him back in. You can use the lower torso beacon, you can use the upper torso beacon. Oh, there you go. Yeah, well, he's not too bad for clanging and horrible sounds. Oh, hey, Space Engineer Builds over on Twitch. How much stronger are hinges and pistons now? They're not massively stronger than they were before, but a lot of them have had steel plate added to them and had their base components increased slightly. So the pistons, yeah, pistons in small and large grid. Small grids had like 10 steel plate, and I think they doubled up on the motors, steel tubes and construction components. Same with rotors, they've added a bunch of steel plates and increased all the basic components that were there before. So they've mostly just added a load of steel plate to everything and increased the base amounts of stuff. So the rotors and hinges and things are slightly heavier now, but they are far more durable and can take a little bit more damage. And actually, because they've set steel plate above that functional line, they can take a little bit more damage with that steel plate before they become broken. And it also means that you don't necessarily need to add that extra bit of steel plate to make it functional. You can just add that for extra, like, physical damage. Or physical resistance, rather. So yeah, they're a little bit stronger, but nothing game-breakingly over the top. What's that, Jet Master? Next question. Since you build mechs, have you used them in actual PvE combat, and if so, how have they performed? Mechs in they are quite good in PvE combat. Oh, my internet signal's going weird again. Come on, internet signal. Come back to life. Or not. Just mess about. You gonna sort your life out? Stop messing around, please. Alright, that seems to be sorting itself out again. Yeah, mech combat, it's kind of just for fun, really. They're not massively useful in a PvP situation. It'd probably be quite difficult. PvE depends on what you're fighting, really. The Mech Engineers Discord group, though, they do hold weekly mech fighting tournaments if anybody is into that kind of thing. I don't really do much with that because I just spend too much time building mechs rather than fighting with them. But yeah, the validity of them in combat, it's, if you're fighting other mechs, it's probably quite good, but like I said, the repairs on something that is made out of like 20 plus subgrids is an absolute nightmare when you can't project subgrids on a blueprint. So your alternative to that is literally pretty much just incorporating projectors into every subgrid and hoping the projector doesn't get blown up. But hopefully that might be different with SE2. With all the projection building stuff that's been going on with that, I'm really hoping that it includes subgrid projection building. Have they changed the colour of the food icon in the inventory? Most of the icon, I'm pretty sure all of the icons in SE are generally just like black and white. I doubt they've changed anything colour-wise because they've been pretty consistent with just keeping a black and white colour scheme. Internet. Yep, my internet's getting moody again, so yeah, I'm probably... Ooh. Come on, balance yourself out. There we go. Yeah, I'm gonna pretty much leave this stream here for now, so I will dock this dude up one more time. Let's get him in a slightly better position. There we go. Right, let's press that docking button one more time. Let him dock up, let him spin round, he will then lock down. There he goes. And then when he docks up, the projected visor I've built for him shall turn off. There we go. This guy has a projector in his head, projecting some blocks to make a cool little, like, laser eye faceplate thing. And I do really like these new rounded blocks. For adding some extra greeble and shaping to stuff, they look absolutely awesome. Definitely one of my new favourite blocks, because they also allowed me to make a nice little compact hip kind of joint for this mech. Because the collisions on them are quite nice actually, they're not too bad compared to some blocks. So he's got a nice little compact hip joint there. It's got dual support there, and then the forward and backward movement there. Right, so that's all the new blocks. That's a bunch of the new features and a bunch of the new in-game stuff. I'm just going to jump down that ladder because I've got God mode on. And yeah, new tropholites, new round blocks, funky new landing gear, lots of new thrusters, new rounded blocks. Oh yeah, I also forgot to mention, there is a new small grid hydrogen engine tucked in there. Actually, let's go in quickly before I knock off for the night. Where is that hydrogen engine? There it is. I'll turn that on. Just like with a lot of these cool new blocks, it's got a nice little animation when you turn it on. You've got some little pistons firing, some stuff turning around in the middle. Looks pretty cool. I'm liking all these new animated blocks, they look nice and swish. Yeah, I'm going to leave that there for this evening then. So, thank you for watching, thank you for chatting, thank you for asking questions. I always enjoy answering them as much as I can do. And like I said, I'll be publishing this docking station and this new mech at some point this week when I get him all boxed off and get all of his controls nice and smooth. It'll probably be towards the end of the week, but I will add the links to this to the preview video that I made showcasing this mech and this docking station that got released today. So yeah, if you want to have a go at this mech, keep an eye out for those links. I'll also be posting them in my Discord. Hello Alexander, you've come in right at the end. I'm literally about to knock off for the evening, but feel free to watch the stream back again. Like I said, I am running a competition to give away some DLC keys for the new DLC pack, and that is across both PC and consoles, so console players don't feel left out. You can join my Discord. You can then go to the announcements page and you can follow the instructions for the competition and get yourself a chance to win the new DLC. I will be drawing the winners for that on Friday afternoon, so get your competition entries in for that before Friday. And I'll see you later. Oh, what's that, Jet? Alright, see you later, mate. Thanks for streaming. First time catching all these in-depth learning stuff. Yeah, mate, I'm always happy to explain I'm always happy to explain the stupid stuff I'm doing as I'm building it. I do occasionally do just general build streams as well when I've got the free time, so keep an eye out for them. I'll be back on Sunday, and again at some point this week I'll have the next episode of Alien Survival sorted out and uploaded, hopefully tomorrow. So yeah, thank you for watching, thank you for chatting, and goodbye for now.